Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we be nurtured together. May we be nourished together. May we strive together. May our learning shine. And may we not quarrel, that is, argue. Peace. Verse 1 to 9, chapter 6, and they are first, samatvam. We spoke about having an equanimous mind, that is, having or not having too much excitement over things which are exciting, nor allowing oneself to be too sorrowful over things which would otherwise induce sorrow. Because if one allows them to get excited or sorrowful too much, then the problem with that is it stays. It creates a scar, and the scar lasts. So it disturbs the mind, and it carries over into meditation. The second principle of general disciplines that we spoke of was self-confidence. That means if one does not have confidence in their ability, then no amount of acharya, no amount of shastram, scriptures, no amount of teaching is going to help. If one does not say and believe that I can do it and I am born with the capacity to understand this. So this is something that everyone has to say to themselves, that I can indeed. Just the mere fact that I'm a human being means I can. And the third principle was self-effort. That means exercising one's purushartha, one's free will, to apply what is being taught. This also involves acknowledging I have free will, I can. And the last principle was self-integration. That means having integrated personality. If the intellect wants to learn while the mind is still reveling on an argument with a colleague in the day, then despite best efforts to learn, it is not going to settle. It's not going to take place in the mind. So this means one's personality of the body, the physical, the mental, that is the emotions, and the intellectual, should be at all times working together. The mental, the emotional, that means, should lead the physical, and the intellectual should lead the emotional. The other way around is the physical leads both the emotional and the intellectual. This is what we call promiscuity, or this is what we call constantly seeking for self-pleasure in the form of 5 senses with the world. This is why we have to reverse that cycle, so that the intellect is the boss. What does this mean? That means the intellect modifies the direction, how the mind feels according to what? Higher values of life. And because the mind's emotions are modified according to the higher values of life, which is prescribed by the intellect, then automatically the physical body is going to follow along with the mind. Okay. So what I just spoke of is 4 disciplines which are number 1 for meditation. Remember we spoke about 5 different sections that chapter 6 is divided into. This is called Bahiranga Sadhanam. General disciplines to abide by throughout the day, whether one meditates or not. Now the second revision is the 8th, I spoke about this last session, 8 principles to follow before meditation. The first one was place, deshaha. The second was time, when to meditate, kalaha. The third was appropriate seat. What kind of seat should I meditate on? Asanam. The fourth was posture of the body. Sharira stitihi. Sharira stitihi. Number 5 was breathing evenness. That means the breathing should be even. Prana samyam. Number 6 was withdrawal of sense organs from the external world. This is called Indriya Nigraha. Number 7 was withdrawing the mind's roles in meditation. Mano Nigraha. Withdrawing mind's roles. I am not a father while I'm meditating. I am not the son. I am not an employee or a boss. I am a seeker of truth. I am a worshipper of God. And number 8 was the most important, Buddhi Nishchaya. What is Buddhi Nishchaya? Conviction of meditation role. That means I am convinced that this meditation has genuine, legitimate benefit. That means you should know that the benefits of meditation are real. They're not just some speculations. Because if we don't know the why, we're not going to be motivated to meditate. Understand? Now, verse 10. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi sthitaha ekaki yatachit atma nirashira parigrahaha. Verse 10 is called Antaranga Sadhanam. This is what to do right before meditation. I just described 8 steps. So now verse 10 is going to describe more about what you just written. So this means when I'm speaking, then add these parts onto the 8 list that you just written. So before meditation, first of all, how often should one meditate? The answer is as often as you can find yourself to do so, as regularly as possible. Just like physical exercise, if one exercises just one time, expects a certain result, that is unrealistic. In the same manner, the mind meditating just once is as good as useless. So this means there has to be a consistent regularity with meditation. This is answered in Yogi Yunjita Satatam. And with whom do you meditate? With yourself. Ekaki means alone. Having people around can be distracting. Not always, but in most cases it can be distracting. Therefore, with whom should I meditate? With myself. Me alone in a private room with nobody around. There is advantages to meditating together, like with Vipassana. However, there is also disadvantages to that. In Vedic meditation, we meditate alone because it is between you and God and nobody else. And also having a person in the room can be a little bit, you can feel their presence. So what I just spoke about is place. That's place. Remember number 1 of the 8 sections? Where to meditate? By myself, in my own room. How? Alone.
Is there a difference between meditating like vibrational? Is there a difference between meditating in a bedroom or a living room?
It doesn't matter. As long as it's alone, private, and it carries a flavor of spiritual reverence. Something that induces God. Whatever it is, you can have an altar, some Ganesha or something that represents divinity. Something that makes you humble, makes you worship, surrender to the feet of the Lord. Okay, that is personal, and it's different for everyone. The second part of the verse is what should be the condition of the mind? Now there's two conditions to this. The first one is the mind should be controlled and disciplined. This is answered in Yata Chit Atma. So a disciplined mind is equated to Yoga Patanjali's first 3 disciplines, if you know the text, which is Yamaha, which is what to avoid, Niyamaha, what to incorporate, what to abide by, what to follow. The third principle in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, which we will discuss in detail, by the way, is asana. Now, this is an important one because asana in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, what's the point of having an asana, that is a posture? The posture should be, or the physical condition of the body should be strong. What does this mean? A condition that makes you forget your body. Think about it. If there is a shoe that is one size small and you wear it, you're going to notice that shoe whether you like it or not. But when we have the shoe size with the right size for our foot, then we what? Forget about the shoe. In the similar manner, what kind of a body should one be in? That is a posture, asana. In a posture that is an asana which makes one forget their body. That's the key. It doesn't matter what asana it is, as long as it makes me forget that I have no scratches, I have no body. So get into that comfortable asana, that posture. And the fourth principle in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra is prana ayama. We usually call it pranayama. That's because of sandhi, but there are actually two words, prana ayama, which is breath regulation. We will get into this in detail.
Does it matter if your spine is horizontal or vertical?
We will get into that.
Okay.
Yeah. The second principle is a mind. Okay, what do we ask on the beginning? What kind of a condition should the mind and body be? Okay, so the second principle that answers this question is the mind should be free of desire. Nirashihi. That's the second line. Nirashihi. Now let's discuss, what does it mean to say free of desire? What I mean by this is desires should be legitimately non-binding. That's the key word, non-binding desires. What does a non-binding desire mean? For example, if you have a child, you're a parent, and your sincere desire is to help the child grow. That is called a genuine, legitimate, non-binding desire. Why? Because it's not out of your own likes and dislikes. It's just genuine. It has to be attended to. And what is a non-genuine binding desire? What does it mean when I say binding? It makes me like a slave. It binds me. I have to. I've got no choice. If I don't, I'm not happy. So a non-binding desire is natural. For example, eating. We can't call that a binding desire because it's a natural desire to survive. So what happens if the non-binding desires are producing anxiety? Because some of the non-binding genuine desires do produce anxiety. The answer to this is we have surrender. What does surrender mean? It's called Sharanagati. It's a popular word in Sanskrit. Sharanagati, surrender. For example, you say, "Oh Lord, take care of my child, please. I can only do the best that I can. I understand that I am not the only contributor to my child's future. My child also is modified by school, by society, by their own prarabdha karma. I am just one of the contributing forces which impacts my child's future, not the only one. For that reason, God, please take care of my child, and I will do the best that I can." So what did I just say? Sharanagati, a statement of surrender. I am having a personal conversation with the higher power, and I'm saying, please take care of that. So what's the point of this? It's going to take care of our anxiety. Because see, we have this force, this God is all around us, everything is God, and yet we don't even apply it. We only apply it when things get the worst, there's nobody to help, then we go, "Oh God, please help me." So why not use it all the time if it's already available right now, right here? And also during meditation, we also apply Sharanagati, surrender. How? By surrendering to the feet of the Lord. While I'm meditating, I am completely yours, God. This mouth, these eyes, this body, everything is yours. Please guide it. Please help this mind to assimilate this knowledge. Please give this mind enough sattva so that it may assimilate and get the understandings. So you're asking God for help. Okay, there's one more. The other one is non-possession. So this is number 3 now. Number 3 is non-possession or simple living. Aparigraha, the last word, aparigraha, non-possession. Now, Shankara says that sannyasa is as equal to aparigraha. Sannyasa, renouncing. Aparigraha is non-possession. So this means non-possession means renouncing the world. Now, before you ask the question, am I supposed to renounce the world? Wait. Meanwhile, okay, why should we renounce? Why should we have a simple living? Let's ask this question. Because life is about two principles mainly. Yoga, that is accomplishment of what? Anything, whatever is pertinent to the person's likes and dislikes. And two, kshema, which is what? Maintenance. That's what life is about. I accomplish, and then I maintain what I have accomplished. I marry someone, and then I have to maintain this person. I have to stay with this person. That means I have to now do certain things to maintain the relationship. I make money, and now I have to what? Maintain the money that I've made. So because of this, the person gets very busy in life. For this reason, we have aparigraha, simple living. If it's not there, then what happens is the person easily gets caught up into this what? Yoga and kshema, accomplishment and maintenance. So what's the solution to yoga and kshema? Once again, we acknowledge a simple statement of fact and we say, all my possessions belong to God. None of them are mine. I am only a trustee. Lord has given them to me only for temporary use, and the best I can do is use them while they are available, and I fully acknowledge that one day they will be taken away from me. Just like this body, which is now writing these notes down, will also be taken away. This very body that's writing notes down can also be doing something else which is not conducive for recognizing one's nature, or can be, as you're writing down, doing something that's conducive for recognizing one's nature. So it all depends on you. This is why I say those four principles: self-effort, that was number 3, and also self-confidence. Remember that? Yeah.
So would you extend to relationship, in other words, possessions, we understand, would you extend that to relationships as well?
Which one?
What we just talked about, to possessions.
Yeah.
Would you extend that to relationships as well?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So the idea is you are always with something or someone. So how do we deal with this? We simply say, what I have is not mine. Ultimately, it belongs to God also. Okay, so we're not renouncing, we're just mentally understanding that whatever I possess is not mine. It belongs to the original creator. Even during meditation, okay, so what I spoke about, the statement, none of things are mine. Even during meditation, you simply make a statement and you say, everything that I have is not mine. Why did I just say this? Because during meditation, we often have concerns, like about our house and our wife, our children, our husband, or our boss. So we just, for that moment alone, say, everything that I'm concerned about does not belong to me. I surrender that back to the original creator, God. So why are we saying this? Because it's reassurance and making the meditation easier. If you have children, for example, once again, you say the same thing. My children are not mine. In fact, there's someone said this great statement. They said, children are not of you, they come through you. Because you didn't create them. You just ate food and then the food took care of the rest. So even your own children are not yours. They only came into this world for their own reasons, their own prarabdha karma, but also they came to teach me the art of loving. And for that reason, I thank God that I do have children, because they can teach me the art of loving. But I also know that the children are not mine. So what is this helping you with? Detaching from what doesn't belong to you in the first place.
What does one do with conflict when wanting to be
With what?
peaceful? Not just conflict in life, whether that's at the work.
Do the best you can to resolve it according to the dynamic situation between you and the other.
If that's not possible.
If that's not possible, then we need to look at it in your mind and see how you can forgive that person, because that conflict has nothing to do with you. So conflict is what? It's just resisting their opinion. Who am I to say they're right and I'm wrong? Because they've decided what they know based on a genuine analysis according to their situation, and I've also analyzed the same situation according to my perception. So who am I to say I am more right than they are? That is just thinking that has to be released. Okay, they could be right. And also sometimes you know from your own experience that I am right today, but tomorrow I read something and only then what I was disagreeing yesterday starts to make sense and I go, wow, you know, now I agree with that. It also happens with gurus. Gurus often get criticized because, you know, they say something, but then that one who criticized them then reads something else and they understand the point of view, and now they go, now I understand what he or she was saying. So now they're what? They come back and become their fan or something. It happens all the time.
And also, you may well be right, but sometimes hanging on to that feeling of being right and trying to be persistent to get that out can be less beneficial than just stepping back from it and just letting it go, and then it'll just work itself out.
That's exactly what the Pandavas did. For example, when Duryodhana wanted, he drowned Bhima. Bhima is the big guy, and Bhima and the Pandavas knew, but they didn't say anything because they knew they came and confronted the Kauravas, the 5 brothers of the Pandavas. If they confronted the Kauravas, it would create conflict. So they just kept silent. So this, you have to be sensitive whether it is good to confront or to just hold back and forgive without saying anything. So let's summarize verse 10. Number 1, give up unnecessary possessions or simplify life. How do you give up unnecessary possessions? Mentally. None of this is mine. And number 2, give up sense of ownership. As I said, none of this is mine. None of this belongs to me. Okay, verse 11. Together. Shuchau deshe pratishtapya sthiram asanam atmanaha nat yuchhritam nati nicham chailajina kushotaram. Verse 11 speaks about what kind of place should I meditate in? Spiritually clean. It should be spiritually clean, not a dirty place that represents a world war or some kind of dirty memories. Okay, so if you have some funny business in that room, then find a room that is value neutral. Otherwise, it induces subtle thoughts. How do you do this? Have some pictures of deities that are pertinent to your personality. Some kind of pictures on the wall. Okay, time. So this is number 2 now. When should we meditate? The general rule is there is no perfect time. The answer to when should I meditate is whenever the mind is relaxed and it is alert. Whether it is 12 a.m. or 12 p.m., it doesn't matter. You need to find that time when it's relaxed and alert. Number 3, asana. What kind of place should you sit on? The answer to this is there is no particular place what kind of to sit on. All that matters is that it is neither too hard nor too soft. It is comfortable for you. Now, if you want to look at the tradition of how they used to do it thousands of years ago, I'll go through that quickly. Kushotaram. Where is Kushotaram? Kushotaram, that is kusha grass. So they believe that kusha grass is very sharp. So they used to sit on kusha grass because a sharp grass induces a sharp mind. In fact, there's an idiom in Sanskrit which is called kushagra buddhihi. You have a mind, a very sharp mind like the kusha grass. So they first used to put the kusha grass or sit on kusha grass first. And then you had ajinam. Ajinam is deer skin. So the deer skin goes over the kusha grass. Now, because the deer skin is very prickly, they put chaila. Chaila is the piece of cloth. So you can see the order: grass, deer skin, cloth. So now you're asking, should I go and shoot a deer and then sit on deer skin? Right? So don't look at it literally. This was in those times. We have to adjust to modern times. So this is why I say it doesn't really matter what kind of place, as long as it's neither too hard nor too soft. And the seed should not be moving or screeching. Otherwise, every sense that picks up a movement is going to take the mind into that sound. Okay, verse 12. Tatraika grammanah kritva yata chit endriya kriyaha upavishyasane yunjad yogam atma vishuddhaye. This verse is talking about sense organ restraint. Yata chit indriyaha kriyaha. So organs of, okay, what kind of organs should be restrained? Two types. Sense organs, the eyes, ears. This is called jnana indriya, because jnana picks up knowledge from the world. And a karma indriya. Karma indriya is your organs of action. So that means your hands shouldn't be moving, feet shouldn't be moving, and eyes should be closed, ears should be hopefully withdrawn. So how do you restrain sense organs? You make an appointment with yourself. You say, before meditation, I now have an appointment with myself. Do you know when you go to the doctors, and they say, please wait outside? What do? You wait outside, right? You abide by the instruction. In the same way, we tell our minds, please wait, my life, please wait outside, because I have an appointment with myself. That means you're being assertive with your mind, with your thoughts, with the past and the future. So you say what? For now, for the next 15 minutes, life, whatever you are, however many troubles or joys I have in life, just stay out of my mind. I am busy with myself. So you get people out of your life in those 15 minutes. Not out loud. You don't say, wife, get out, or anything. You just make that assertive statement. For now, whoever is in my life is out of my mind. So after you withdraw the senses, what is the objective of the mind? This is the next question. After I withdraw, and how do you withdraw? What did I just say? You make an appointment with yourself. So after withdrawing, what is the objective of the mind? Now this is important. It is not to still the mind. The objective is to direct the thoughts towards the object of meditation. Object of meditation is self. For example, a still dam with clear water has no use. Just a still dam. It's only when this dam has what? A channel passing through it, the water passes through what? A turbine, and then the turbine spins, and then it does what? It generates electricity. It provides a benefit. So this means a still dam by itself, filled with water, has no benefit. Only when I create a what? A diversion, when I, with my intellect, tell this still mind to what? Go to a certain objective that is the object of meditation, only then does it have genuine benefits. This is an important point. Otherwise, a still mind is as good as an ignorant mind. An ignorant mind is still an ignorant mind when it's still. Nothing really happened. And the only benefit that one gets out of a stilled mind is those few minutes while the mind is still. As soon as the person goes out of meditation, the mind's no longer still and all the benefit is gone. So we're not interested in stilling our minds. We're interested in a still mind, and then once it's still, directing the thoughts towards what? The object of meditation. The other way to look at meditation is like the sun. Now imagine the sun is a powerful, like the mind. And the mind does what? It illumines what? The objects. So your mind illumines your sense organs. Of course, the self illumines the mind. So in the same manner, the sun, if it's shining generally on objects, it has no power. But if you take a lens, that's why I say meditation is like a lens. If you take a lens, that same sun, if you focus it, it does what? It's able to burn what? Ignorance. So in the same manner, meditation is like a lens through which this stillness is directed to the object of meditation, which is the self, and that is as good as removing or burning residual unconscious behaviors which prevent me from appreciating my true essence, my true nature. Next question is, what is the purpose of meditation? The answer is purification of the mind. Atma Vishuddhaye. That's the last word. Atma Vishuddhaye. So what's the purpose of meditation? To make the mind pure, clean, healthy. Purification from what? 2 points. Purification from malam, M-A-L-A-M, malam. What does malam mean? Improper, indecent thoughts. Dirty thoughts. For example, raga, that means lust, attractions. Dvesha, that means aversions or repulsions. Krodha, that means anger. Moha, that means delusion arising out of attachment. So all of these things get cleaned through meditation. And the second impurity is vikshepa. Vikshepa, which means extrovertedness of the mind. So purify what? Malam and vikshepa. That's what meditation does. And Krishna, by the way, does not prescribe meditation for liberation. Why? Because in meditation, the only knowledge that you can get is the knowledge which is already available to you. Yes, I understand we get epiphanies and insights, but those insights, those ahas, are only what? Based on what I already know. This means if I know ignorance, that means if I'm ignorant, then the aha would be a version of ignorance. So this is why meditation is not for liberation. It is only to assimilate, to solidify what I already know.
So the extrovertedness that you're trying to
Vikshepa.
talk about is the aha bit, is that what you're saying?
It's the constant tendency to look outwards for a savior or to be interested in worldly objects. This constant wanting to talk about the world, that's what meditation, it takes the mind inwards. Those who meditate, they generally, the world's still there, but they're not so talky about the world, right? Because they're centered inwards.
So we'd say it's a subtractive process, like
A what?
subtractive process where you remove things as opposed, like the concept of you solidifying what you already know.
Yeah.
And through meditation, you're removing the fluff.
You're simultaneously removing the fluff. Why? Because you're re-identifying with what you already know. So this means if I get educated, I'm the self, then just by focusing on that, I'm not focusing on my old patterns, which is I am the body, mind, intellect. And that therefore solidifies that I am the true nature of Atman. Okay. Next point is, what is the purpose of meditation before scriptural studies and after scriptural studies? Because we have now two types, before we get into the scripture and after. The answer to, okay, so before scriptural study, before you actually get into Vedanta, this kind of meditation is called upasanam, an important word, upasanam. And what is the purpose of upasanam? Those two words, mala, vikshepa, nivritti. Nivritti means what? Removal. In other words, I am removing indecent thoughts and I am removing extrovertedness. Mala, vikshepa, nivritti. That's the purpose of meditation before scriptural studies. Wait. After scriptural studies, it's called nididhyasanam. So after one assimilates and confidently claims, Aham Brahma Asmi, what is the purpose? Once again, it is to purify only. Purify from what? Purify from what is called Vasana, residual conditioning through lifetimes that I am this body, mind, intellect. So what do we just say? Even though I have fully assimilated my nature as Brahman, even after that, due to the constant tendency to believe that I am the body, mind, intellect, that still is available and fully alive in the mind. So the purpose of meditation after scriptural studies is what? Vasana removal. To remove this tendency to keep believing, to keep genuinely experiencing myself as the body, mind, intellect. The second alternative word is viparita bhavana. And the third important word is viparyaya. Viparyaya. These three words you hear in Vedanta often. So Bedhavasana, viparita bhavana, and viparyaya. They're all what? Tendencies to believe I am the body, mind, intellect. So they all get removed during and through meditation. Metaphor for Dehavasana is, for example, suppose that your friends come over. Okay, suppose you sit down on a dinner table and you have your special seat. You always sit in one seat. And your family comes over. And because the family sort of takes your seat, you choose to sit elsewhere. Right? So they stay there for 5 days. And you sort of sit, you don't sit in your seat. You sit elsewhere because they occupy your seat. Now, when your family leaves, what do slowly? You slowly come back to your original seat on the dinner table. Now, are you coming back because you're ignorant? No, it's got nothing to do with ignorance. You're coming back, why? Because there's a habit to be eating in this place. Therefore, despite having a break for 5 days, when those 5 days are gone, I slowly, naturally start acting and thinking in accordance with my habitual notions. Those habitual notions are called Deha Vasana. D-E-H-A, if I misspelled that. D-E-H-A, Deha Vasana. So what does this Nidhyasana do? It trains your body, it trains the intellect, I am not this body, mind, intellect. That's the purpose. So the summary of verse 12 is before scriptural studies and after scriptural studies, the purpose of meditation is exactly the same. One word, purification of the mind. Verse 13. Sammam kaya shiro grivam dharayanna chalam stiraha samprekshya nasikagram swam dishashchanavalokayan. Verse 13 talks about posture. This is number 4 from the 8 preparations that I told you about. Posture is what? Sharira stitihi. That's posture. Okay, what kind of posture is best for meditation? Crossed legs, no doubt. Now, important point. Immediately when I said that, someone's going to say, what if I can't sit cross-legged? In meditation, in Vedanta, we do not care how you sit down. Why? Because the mind is active as long as what? The body is comfortable. This means, for example, some people need a very nice room, right? Suppose you're given a room to study. Now, not everyone needs a clean room to study. Some people can study in a very ordinary room. So the room aesthetics, or how I'm sitting down, whether it's a hard chair or a soft chair, to some people it just doesn't matter. They can still use their minds to study. And what are you doing in meditation? You're using your mind. In other words, if you can sit cross-legged, fantastic. If not, fantastic. It doesn't matter. And knees are apart. That means max base area, because that way you have stability while sitting down. Okay, the other one is hip to neck, kaya. So what kind of position should the hip to the neck be? Straight, firm. Why? Why should it be straight, whether you're sitting down on a chair or on the floor? Because it regulates your breathing, and breathing has a connection to the mind. If I'm slouched over, then the breathing is irregular and very hard, and that's going to directly influence the mind. For that reason alone, keep a back as straight as you can. If a chair helps you, fantastic, but it doesn't matter as long as one can forget about their body. That's all that matters. The other question that we can now pose is how to withdraw the sense organs from the field. Because when a person sits down, there's noise around everywhere. So what you can do, the best way is to find a soundproof room with total darkness, right, and sit there and be the best way to go. But most of us are not going to go for that. So the answer is you cannot withdraw your sense organs, because why? As soon as I open my eyes, I see. My ears are working whether I like them or not. They're going to pick up sound, and that's going to interrupt me. So the solution is not to withdraw your sense organs. What is behind the sense organs?
Mind.
The mind. So the mind illuminates the sense organs. So I have no control over my sense organs because they're constantly picking up data, but I do have control over my mind. So what do? I withdraw the mind. One way, before speaking how to withdraw the mind, is your eyes. The most powerful distracting sense organ is eyes. So, firstly, if you look around, whoever is restless, generally looking around means what? The mind is restless. So first of all, do not look around. Because looking around constantly makes the mind agitated automatically. And the second point about the eyes is you have to give the eyes a job, just like to a child. An undisciplined child can only be disciplined if you give them something to do. So you give your eyes something to do. What do you give your eyes? As though looking at the tip of the nose. That's what you give the eyes to do. As though looking at the tip of the nose. What does this mean? Eyes partially closed. I discussed this last week because then you can't fall asleep and you're not being distracted too much. Otherwise, if Krishna talked about looking at the tip of your nose, how not most, but some in the yoga world interpret, that will be called nose-tip meditation. I've never heard of nose-tip meditation. So you have to read between the lines to understand what Krishna is saying. Also, this is a contradiction now. We're going to bring them together. In chapter 5, verse 27, Krishna talks about looking at between your eyebrows. Now, in chapter 6, verses 13, Krishna is talking about what? Looking as though at the tip of your nose. So how do you resolve this? What is Krishna saying? He is not particular about where to look. So it's not really important. As long as what? Your eyes don't distract you. That's the key. Okay, number 5, breathing. Out of those 8 I gave, this is number 5, breathing. Prana samyam. This is answered in verse 27, chapter 5, prana panau samau kritva. So what does this mean? Breathing should be slow, rhythmic, and even. So breathing has 2 parts to it. The first part is it's slow, rhythmic, and even. Means what? What's the Sanskrit word for this? Pranayama. And the second principle of breathing is observing your breathing. This is called prana vikshanam. Prana vikshanam. It's not here. Most of the stuff is not here. So I have to draw from other sources. So observing breathing is a common practice actually, because why? It helps the mind to focus at task at hand. So if you really want to settle your mind really quickly during the day or during some kind of activity, just take a minute or so at least to observe the inhale and the exhale. And during meditation, if you want to center the mind, focus the mind, then observe the breathing, at least for 1 minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes. Okay, verse 14. Prashantatma vigattabhihi brahmachari vrate stitaha manah samyam yamachitaha yukta asita matparaha. The question that this verse poses is, what should be the condition of the mind for meditation? What is the condition of the mind suitable for meditation? The answer is tranquil. Prashantatma. The first word, prashantatma, that means a tranquil mind. Now, let's ask, what prevents a tranquil mind? 2 parts. 1, past experience, vasana. Just write what prevents the tranquil mind. Number 1, past experience, past vasana, like regrets, bitterness, unpleasant memories, irritation, and they all surface when? During meditation, which is really interesting. The one time when I really want to break from the world is exactly when those unresolved issues show up, and that is in meditation. So, how do we deal with this? One way, how do you deal with the past? One way is to simply learn, see the past as nothing but a learning tool which I can extract from and learn from and move forward in life. That means look at whatever's showing up commonly in life, look at that from different angles. If you looked at it properly, it's not going to show up anymore. If something keeps showing up constantly, it means what? I haven't fully learned my lesson from it. There is still some resistance about it. Things only, okay, what kind of things do not show up in your life? Things that you fully have resolved. You understand? So only things that do show up are those what? Which I haven't fully resolved. So just the mere fact of something pop up in the present, that is the past, means or reveals to me this is exactly what I need to look at from a different angle through which I can learn something from, and by which once I do, I can move on and become a stronger person. And after you have analyzed it, let it go to whom? Say, God, please take this away. I do not wish to bear this anymore. I learned this. Now please have this memory. I just wish to be happy and focus on what is important in life, my swadharma. So please, God, have this past experience. Take it away from my mind. Once again, you're inducing the power of Ishvara.
What should be the intention in that request?
Intention?
What should be the intention?
To move on, to be free of the past constantly hindering me from in the present.
To break the attachment.
Yeah.
But I could interpret that as I could express that that request, you know, in an upset manner as well. So I was just wondering if there's a certain mindset in which you would address
Honesty.
that.
You're just being honest. Have I really honestly resolved my differences with this memory that's popping up? Just being honest. I can't really say because I don't know what's the situation with this person. But see, we can easily trick ourselves, no issue with that. So this is why one really has to be honest and be real about it.
So humility.
Humility, yeah. Just be, because why? How would I know that I'm not being humble? It's going to pop up again in the future. That means I haven't been humble when I thought I was humble. So it only stops showing up when I really look at it honestly and genuinely wanting to release it so that I may be free in the present moment. So holding on to the past, obviously, has no merit because it just holds us in the present. We cannot move on. So it's in it for you to let go of the past. How? Learn from it, look at it from a different angle, and if you did that successfully, it would then reduce its intensity or completely stop reappearing in the future. And also, there is no point hating. Why? Because the only person who suffers is the hater, not the hated. Because the hated doesn't even know they're being hated. Only the hater knows that the hated is hated.
That's the value of forgiveness.
That's the value of forgiveness, right? So it's in it for you to forgive completely, because the only person who suffers is you. Now, the second part that prevents a tranquil mind is, obviously, being first past. This one is future. So what's the solution for future, letting go of the future?
Doesn't exist. It's not.
Once again, we say, God, may I have the strength to face whatever it is to come in the future. I fully accept that the future is but my karma. And all I can ask is for the strength that I may have and the clarity to come to me, which would allow me to extract the essence from what does arise and then learn from it so that I may move on and become a sharper, clearer, better person for myself and those who depend upon me. I welcome the future gladly. I welcome the inevitable because I know that whatever I have done in the past, that is exactly what I'm about to receive in the present moment. For that reason, I welcome and I learn from what I am to learn from the inevitable future that is to arise. So what did I just say in summary? take the event, the future event, extract the essence of it, bear it because you deserve it, it is your karma, and once you've learned from it, let the future go as soon as possible. For example, a metaphor is you take a sugar cane, and what do? We suck on the sugar cane and we extract what? The essence, the sweetness out of the sugar cane. Now, once you've extracted the sugar cane becomes no longer sweet. Do you still keep on munching on it? No, you throw it away. In the same manner, for the past, I use what happened, the memory that keeps reappearing, I learn from it, I extract the essence, and I throw it away. I surrender it back to to God. In the same manner, future, I bear what is to happen to me gladly, openly, because it is my responsibility to do so, considering it is my prarabdha karma, whether it is unseen or seen, and I extract the essence, and then once I do that, I let it go.
How do you optimize extraction of the essence?
How do you optimize?
The extraction process.
By genuinely asking yourself, can I look at this in a different manner that I may have missed? And keep asking yourself until you can no longer come up with anything. And you will once again know if it reappears again in the future. And if it does, you can once again look at it and extract something else. Self-inquiry. Okay. So your motto is welcome the future. Be glad that the future is coming. However painful or joyful it may be, gladly welcome the future. Now the second part, the other, here it says brahmachari vrate. So this is the next point. Have a life of a brahmachari. Now I'm going to explain what a brahmachari is. What is a brahmachari? One who has entirely devoted their life to the study of scriptures, devotion to God. Brahma means, in this case, the Vedas, the source of the knowledge, and chari means leading a way of life of the scriptures. So a brahmachari, what did I just say? Lead a life of a brahmachari. A brahmachari only has 3 relationships. One with God, the second is with guru, teacher, and third is with shastra. There is no other relationship for a brahmachari. I know what you're thinking now. I'll explain. Because you're saying, am I supposed to have just these 3 relationships? No. Okay? God, guru, teacher, and shastra. This is why a brahmachari very fast succeeds in their journey, because they're not allowing other relationships to distract them. So these 3 relationships are true from a brahmachari, an aspirant of truth. While a sannyasa lifestyle, grahasta, is one who has renounced even these 3 relationships. Why is that? Because to have a relationship, why would a sannyasi renounce God, guru, and shastra? Because the relationship requires 2. But sannyasi fully recognizes, a true sannyasi, that there is no 2. That whether I am revering myself to the guru, or to the cockroach, or to the sky, or to the tree, it is all one and the same. So for that reason, a sannyasi, true sannyasi, does not even have a relationship with God, because everything is God. So there's no reason to have a relationship.
He's automatically brahmachari.
While a brahmachari is still developing, having this passionate, this ambitious relationship just with God, shastra, and the guru teacher.
So these are different stages.
And then they progress, yeah.
So sannyasa would be the progression of brahmachari.
Exactly. Good point, you picked it up. So how do we now translate this to a grahasta ashrama, a householder, who we all are? The answer is, during meditation, we say what? I am not filling the blanks. What does this mean? I am not whatever role I am performing. I am not the employee, I'm not a mom, I'm not a dad. I'm just here for myself, for the truth. That's all I'm here for. It's an assertive statement that you're making, a strict statement. I'm not here to give more power to my past thoughts or future entertaining thoughts. I'm just here for myself. You're asking everyone to get out of your mind, as I said before. An assertive statement. You're being the boss of your mind and not your mind being the boss of you. In other words, you're becoming a mental sannyasi, a mental renunciate. So this is how we incorporate the brahmachari and a sannyasi into our lifestyle, into our meditation as a grihasta, as a householder. Machitaha, dwell upon me. This is the next point. Machitaha, there it is. What does it mean to dwell upon God? Machitaha. What does it mean to dwell upon God? It means to fix my thoughts onto God. What did I say about the damn metaphor? A clear mind just reveling in no thought is useless. That clear mind has to be what? Channeled towards the object of meditation, to God. Okay, so what does it mean when Krishna says, dwell upon me? Dwell upon God. I'll explain later what kind of God to dwell upon. Again, why should I do this? Why should I dwell upon God? Because if you think about it, the only permanent relationship you have is with God. Everyone in your life comes and goes. Everyone. Not a single thing in life stays. Only God is with you all the time. So why not reconcile that relationship which has been with you from beginningless beginning in all endless, birthless lifetimes?
But isn't that dualism?
On the beginning it is. So you're invoking me, capital Me. Who is me? The creator, sustainer, and destroyer of the universe. Srishti, creator. Stitihi, sustainer. Laya, destroyer.
Is that Sri Durga?
Huh?
Is that Sri Durga, the deity that embodies that?
I don't know.
Okay.
And karta, doer. You're surrendering to what? The creator, to the sustainer, and to the destroyer of the entire creation. Whether we believe there is God or not, guess what? You still come out of God, go back to God. Whether I want to argue whether there is a God or not, I still come out of God and go back to God. Whether I want to dispute how your God is, lesser than mine, we all both come from the same God and go back to the same God. So, creator, sustainer, and we all dissolve back from whence we came from. Just like rivers. All rivers come from where? The ocean. In the same manner, God says, you all come from me and you're all going back to me. So why not surrender to that one? And yet, ironically, we pay attention to what? Anything but God. Objects. Yes, it is all Ishvara, I understand, but just particulars. Okay, so what's the metaphor? What's the summary of verse 14? During meditation, the object of meditation is God, and the objective of life is loving God, knowing God. It is all about God. It was never anything but God. Okay, verse 15. Yunjanevam sadatmanam yogi niyatamanasaha shantim nirvana paramam matsamstham adhigacchati. Okay, this verse is going to pose a question. How long should I practice meditation? The answer is consistently, as I said right from the beginning. Consistently means what? Not consistently once in a month or every 3 months. Consistently means decently regularly, that you would have no problem telling someone about your schedule of meditation. You'd probably be feeling extremely uncomfortable saying, yeah, I meditate. How long? Once every month, right? You wouldn't feel very good about that. So 3 days is fine. Start with once every 3 days and then go back down once a day. Okay, what is done during meditation? The answer is, what is done during meditation? Based on what I just said. What do we do during meditation?
Inconsistency?
Huh?
Inconsistency? Or did you say danger?
Focus.
God.
On God, yeah. Focus on the self or God. There is no difference if I say God or self. If you thought that if I'm talking about God, that's dualism, then that's an inherent error. If I talk about God, everything is God. So whether I say self or God, it's one and the same thing. It's not even a thing, but you get it. I'm talking about the same principle. Okay, so may your thoughts be centered on God. Now, what kind of God should I focus on? There are 3 types of God. It depends on your understanding of Ishvara. This is also mentioned in Upadesha Sanam by Ramana Maharishi. He also wrote about this, but I'll mention it now. The first type is called personal God. Jesus, Buddha, Allah, Krishna, Rama, whoever it is. In Sanskrit we call this Ishta Devata. Ishta Devata, I-S-T-A Devata. Or Manda Adhikari. Manda Adhikari. The second kind of understanding of God is the creator of the universe. And that God I meditate upon. You see the dualism there? God is the creator of the universe, including the meditator. And I, the meditator, am meditating on that God. This is called Madhyama Adhikari. Madhyama Adhikari. And the third type is a transcendent, formless Ishvara. Formless God. Whereby the meditator and the meditated are not present. The division is not present. This is called Uttama Adhikari. Uttama, U-T-T-A-M-A. This is equivalent to Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And number 2, Madhyama Adhikari, is equivalent to Savikalpa Samadhi. We will talk about Samadhis as we come to Yoga, Patanjali Sutras.
What is the difference between the first one and the second one?
I will talk about that when the time comes. Savikalpa and Nirvikalpa.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a time for that.
Okay.
Okay, which God to meditate on according to what Krishna is saying? It's called Arupa, without form, Dhyanam, which is number 3. Because number 3 I said, formless God. How do we know that Krishna is talking about formless God? That will become very clear. But obviously that's common sense, because to meditate on form is to objectify God. Okay, and what will I get from meditation? The answer is Shantim. Shantim is peace. What kind of peace? And peace arising out of where? Ishvara. The peace of self. Peace of existence. Shantim is also now here equated to Jivan Mukti, a liberated person. And it's not arising out of what? Setup of life. For a common man, peace or joy arises out of setup. What does this mean? If my life is set up in a certain way, then I will get my peace and joy. But what's the opposite of setup? Upset. So if my setup is destroyed, I become upset. I set up to be upset. Whereas for a Jivan Mukti, the peace or joy is coming where? From one's own being, from the self, from God. Katha Upanishad says, any kind of peace, the only genuine true peace, is attributed to that one who is fully surrendered to God. Any other peace is superficial, because any other peace depends on objects, like object happiness. So the only true peace is when the individual can fully say, you know what, I totally surrender to the field. Use me, God. Use this mouth, these ears, this body. Use it however you want. If it needs to die tomorrow, let it be, as long as it is for the highest and greatest good of all. I trust you, O Lord, to take this body wherever it needs to, for this mouth to say whatever words it needs to say, so that it may serve your beautiful creation, for none of this belongs to me. That's the kind of surrender we're speaking about. Total trust. Because that is the same principle which is taking care of you every single day, keeping your heart beating right now. Why not surrender completely to God? And finally, Videha Mukti, Nirvana Paramam, is where this Shantim culminates upon the death of a liberated person. Videha mukti means liberated after living. In other words, the cycle of birth and death ceases. Verse 16. Nat yashna tastu yogosti na chaikantam anashnataha na chatiswapna shilasya jagrato naiva charjuna. Up to verse 15, we are now done with Antaranga Sadhanam. That means we're done with disciplines right before meditation. So verse 16 and 17, this is verse 16. Verse 16 and 17 will cover two more general disciplines of life. What is number one? Bahiranga Sadhanam, general disciplines in life. Number two is general disciplines before meditation. So verse 16 and 17 covers what? Two more practices to abide by in life. And the message of verse 16 is living a life of moderation. Moderation in everything. Never being carried away by joys and sorrows. Never indulging excessively. Never getting addicted to anything. Because they all lead to problems. So, this verse specifically talks about moderation in what? Eating, activity, and sleep. So, 16 and 17 is about eating, activity, and sleep. So, let's talk about eating. Whoever overeats cannot succeed in meditation nor in life. Now, you're saying, well, they can, because, I know some people who are overweight and they're very rich and they have a lot of food, but are they really successful completely, considering the body is not to be avoided no more than the mind? Because the natural body is not like, huge. It is what? It's healthy. So has the person really succeeded if their mind is healthy, but their body, or their mind is rich, they're rich in wealth, money, but their body is excessively big? Have they really succeeded? No. That's called a lack of moderation. Okay? So,
Was Buddha fat?
it's a symbol, it's an analogy, yeah. It's full. So, those who overeat cannot succeed generally in life. Why? Because if the body is unhealthy, eventually it's going to start showing some symptoms when the body gets older. So for that reason, they're not going to be able to continue the sadhana. And also, one cannot succeed like that in meditation, because such a mind which is constantly thinking about food is going to be entertaining a pizza meditation, right? So that's not going to work either. Okay.
And the opposite is the same. Somebody who's like totally spindly and like a stick insect.
Yes. And also the Shastra says overeating is papam, because it's disrespecting God's food. It's using this as an object to satisfy my senses instead of appreciating this to sustain my life. This is why before we start eating, in the Indian tradition, or in Sanskrit, we always sing Om Brahmarpanam Brahma Havihi Brahmagno Brahmana Hutam Brahmeva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. So what it's saying is, this which is on my plate is Brahman. This person who is eating is Brahman. This oblation is Brahman. The entire process is Brahman. The digestive fire is Brahman. Everything is the truth. So this addresses and reconfirms that indeed this food is sacred. It's holy. Whereas if I overeat, I'm completely disrespecting the very source which gives all life to the whole world. Which I'm disrespecting what? The Creator. How do I know if I'm overeating? There's a formula. You divide your stomach into 4 parts. Not physically, but mentally. 2 quarters should be filled with solid foods. 1 quarter should be with liquids. And the last 1 quarter should be empty. Why? Because you need some emptiness to digest the 2 quarters of solids and 1 quarters of liquids. Now, how do I know if I have 1 quarter left? Is there some kind of a measuring device? Okay, the answer is very simple. If you can have a little bit more, stop, don't. If you're at a party or a family event, and they, you know how they always offer you tons of food, and they say, no, have some more. It's very hard to say no to that, right? You got to be very strong. If you can, because you're already overfilled, no doubt. If you can have just a little bit more, do not. That's how you know. The other way to know is there's no discomfort after eating. If I've eaten and there was a mind thought saying stop, 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 but I missed that, I did not pay attention to that, and I feel now uncomfortable, then I can now acknowledge that that thought which I had of stop was actually correct. So there should be no discomfort after eating. That's how you know you got 1/4 left. Because if there's discomfort, then what? The whole day gets broken because of one simple mismanagement of food. Also, do not, okay, so that's overeating. Next one is do not fast too much. Because fasting, constant empty stomach, equals ulcer in later stage. It can be ulcer, where there's a digestive problem, hole in the stomach. And also, if a person's constantly hungry, then, as I said, their meditation is going to be eating various foods, entertaining. And a stomach that's constantly growling, it's uncomfortable. Okay, sleep. How long should I sleep? Do not sleep too little, because then the body cannot recover. Do not sleep too much, because then you're just wasting time on earth with sleep. The general rule for sleep is it varies person to person. There is no general rule. You already know how long should you sleep so that you feel well, a sense of well-being. Not overslept and then feeling guilty, how I didn't get up an hour earlier, and not sleeping too little, whereby there's just 10 tons of melatonin afterwards waking up. Okay? Verse 17. Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapna vabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. This verse is now going to continue from verse 16. Moderation in entertainment. What does this mean? Every mind, whether you admit it or not, craves variety. So, meditation and entertainment, they actually help each other. If my mind's constantly just doing one thing, and now it has to go to, let's say it's just in the scriptures all day long, and now on top of that it has to meditate on the scriptures, and on top of that it goes to sleep and meditates on the scriptures, it's going to get really bored. So this means you need some variety in life. Variety is your own variety. Even a TV originally was designed for three parts: news, entertainment, and education. Due to our preferences, we just watch now entertainment. But originally it was for these three things. So this means you need to have some kind of play in life, some sweetness in life. It's very important. That way the mind's like, okay, now I feel like I should meditate. I've had my entertainment, now I can meditate. And moderation in activity. What does this mean? If one works overtime, then one clearly has lost track of priorities in life. What is working overtime cause? Negligence of family, health, scriptures. So it seems like I'm benefiting by working overtime, but actually what I'm really slowly doing is degrading the quality of other areas which desperately need my attention. Children, parents, friends. Otherwise, what happens is we find after some time we have no help, we have no support from the environment, and everyone starts to look at us, in a sort of a unfriendly way, because we haven't been paying attention to those who respectfully deserve attention. Also, the scriptures fully recommend and support a life of achievement. There's nothing wrong with being a successful person financially or in any endeavor, as long as it is not on the level of excess. And you know what this means. If I make tons and tons of money and then I say, I can live like 20 lifetimes with this, but then I still keep on making money just because I can, then that's called disbalance. So this also means that success is welcome, because success means what? A good sharp mind. And a good sharp mind is exactly required for assimilation, discrimination of Atma and Anatma. And at the same time, never lose track of the scriptures. So moderation in eating, sleeping, entertainment, and activity. Never go overboard.
Sorry, when you say scriptures, are you implying...
Shastra, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita. Now, verse 18 is going to go into Yoga Patanjali Sutra. Okay, I was going to get a little bit more technical. Okay, verse 18. Yada viniyatam chittam atmanyeva vatishthate nixprahas sarvakamepyaha yukta ityuchyate tada. Verses 1 to 17, Krishna spoke about Bahiranga and Antaranga sadhana, that is, general disciplines to abide by in life, and disciplines to apply right before meditation. In verses 18 and 19, Krishna will now speak about dhyana swarupam, how to meditate, or the nature of Vedic meditation. And he will speak about dhyanam palam. What is the benefit of meditation? What will I get when I do and perform this meditation? So from verse 18 and 19, we will now speak how to meditate. Specifically, it will talk about the last 3 stages. That means chapter 18 and 19. Verse 18 and 19 will speak about the last 3 stages of Patanjali Yoga Sutra, being dharana, concentration, dhyanam, meditation, and samadhi, which is absorption. So, meditate on what? We spoke about this. There's only one.
Self.
Good. Atma Swarupam, the nature of the self, your own nature. That means entertaining thoughts revealing my nature. So in this case, when a teacher teaches chapter 6, the Vedanta teacher will speak about the Ashtanga-Yoga from Patanjali Yoga Sutras, because it's an excellent system for meditation. It's a complete system. Ashtanga-Yoga means meditation in 8 steps. Ashtanga-Yoga. And it's a system for meditation and integration of the 4 personalities. What do I mean by 4 personalities? The first 4 sheets. Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha. That means it's there to help you integrate what? Your body, make your body congruent with what? Your breath, make it congruent with the mind, and make it congruent with the intellect. So they're all functioning as one whole, as a one friend. There's no, disputes between them. Okay, the Patanjali Yoga Sutra consists of 2 sections. The first is the actual practice, Yoga Abhyasa. Now this verse, remember that verse we sang right from class 1? Abhyaso nahi tyaktavyo, abhyaso hi parambalam, anabhyase visham vidya, ajirne bhojanam visham. Meaning, if this knowledge, which we gain in class, is not put into yoga abhyasa, into a practice, it becomes like bhojanam, poison, like the food poison. This is the importance of meditation. And the second part of yoga Sutras is the philosophical part. This is the Yoga Darshanam. That means the vision of yoga. Now, important point. Yoga Darshanam does not and is rejected by Vedanta. We are not interested in philosophy of yoga. We are only taking section 1, Yoga Abhyasa, the practice of yoga, not the philosophies like chakra and breath and all these other things that go on. There is no correlation between Vedanta and Yoga Patanjali Sutras. That is very important. So I'm saying this because in the Vedantic world, you'll hear that Yoga Patanjali Sutra is dualism, and it is dualistic. So then why are you including in a non-dual philosophy? Because we're taking section 1, Yoga Abhyasa, and not Yoga Darshanam. Okay, hang on, I'm almost finished. So the first one, Ashtanga means what? 8 steps. What's the first step in these 8 steps? Yamaha. Yamaha means what? Things to avoid. Don'ts. There are 5 things to avoid in life. And before I get into that, Yamaha and Niyamaha is equivalent to Bahiranga Sadhanam, general disciplines to abide by in life. Remember how I said general disciplines? 4 disciplines: samatvam, self-effort, self-confidence. Remember that? Mm-hmm. So Yamaha and Niyamaha is equivalent from the Patanjali Yoga Sutra to those 4 disciplines. It's just a different way of putting it. So the first is Yamaha, means things to not do, avoid at all costs, as much as you can.
That's Yamaha.
Yamaha, avoid. The first is Ahimsa. This means avoid injuring yourself or others, giving up violence per thought, word, and action. Even if I entertain violent thoughts towards a politician, that is still ahimsa. The world is your mirror. And however I respond to the mirror, what does the mirror do? It responds exactly the same. If I give a frown to the mirror frowns back to me. So there's no way out of it, you see? We think we can get away with judging and criticizing, but we're only judging and criticizing ourselves. So this is ahimsa. The second is satyam. Satyam. Satyam means give up speaking untruth or falsehood at thought and verbal level. Give up speaking what is not true. Stop lying. Be honest. There is only God. Why would I lie to God? 3 is asteyam. Asteyam, non-stealing. Don't possess what doesn't legitimately belong to you. That means any benefit which I gain through an unfair deal, that benefit is a stolen benefit. If I'm a boss and I don't give the money that the employee who's working for me deserves, and I try to take away $5 hoping that he or she doesn't see, that $5 for me is actually a stolen benefit. God knows everything, and that's going to come back. Whether in judgment, self-judgment form, like, I don't have the strength to be honest. Who am I? I'm such a fraud. And that creates self-guilt. That kind of coming back. So there's no way around lying or stealing. So do not steal. Whatever belongs to someone else, that is theirs. They rightfully deserve it and they own it. And I have no right to take what doesn't belong to me. Number 4 is brahmacharyam. Brahmacharyam, giving up inappropriate attitude towards the opposite sex or relationships towards the opposite sex. Men need to stop looking at females as objects for self-purposes, self-enjoyments. Men need to stop looking down on women as lesser That means they are inferior, that kind of stopping. In the same manner, women need to stop looking at men as some kind of a servant, or whatever the expression is towards a man. This needs to be given up. Nobody here is higher or lower. There's no such thing as inferior woman or inferior man. This is just thinking that has no logic. Everyone's equal because we're all children of the one same God. And number 5 is aparigraha. Aparigraha. Now remember, if you put the word a in front of a word, it takes it into an opposite. So what is parigraha? Possessing too much. Amassing wealth. If I don't share my wealth, which suppose a person's rich, if I don't share it, what happens? In a society, there's a disbalance between the rich and the poor. So aparigraha is not possessing too much, not amassing just for the sake of amassing, and then using it in the name of security. I'm amassing to feel secure. It needs to be shared. Okay, and niyamaha, this is number 2. This is followed in daily life. These are the do's. Number 1, shaucham. Ask, is what I'm doing, would God be happy with what I'm doing right now? Would God be happy with the way I'm speaking to this person right now? With the way that I'm speaking to myself right now? I think you know the answer to that instantly, right? So, in other words, maintain purity in all actions, in all thoughts, and all entertaining activities as much as possible. Is this pure or is this dirty? Is this carrying a nature of selfishness or selflessness? Number 2 is samtosaha. This is being content in whatever I legitimately earn. Being happy. I earned it and I am happy with what I have earned. That means never expecting more or less than what you have gotten because you deserved it. And never, in other words, never comparing myself to others. If there's someone who's better at something than you are, never compare. Because they deserve it as much as you deserve your level. Samtosaha, contentment with whatever you get from your own efforts. Number 3, swadhyayaha. This is scriptural study. Why? Because to be entertained in, to expose the mind to scriptural studies constantly redirects the mind to the highest. So it keeps your mind on what is important, the objective of life, which is to love God and serve God in the best way possible. See, it's easy to talk about the self, just revel in the self, but when it comes to being a good human being and doing what is right, then that really demonstrates the character of the person. Number 4 is tapaha, austerity, simple living, non-pompous living. Pompous means puffed up. I'm puffed up with vanity, with what I have. Non-luxurious living. Refusing to act like some kind of a king or a queen just because I can, just because I have a lot of money. Simple living, just a humble life. Not pretending to be rich or poor, just humble. And number 5 is the most important, Ishwara Pranidhanam. This is surrender to God. This we will talk about next week because it takes some time to explain what does it mean to surrender. We all speak about surrender, but what do you mean to say surrender? And then we will continue number 3 all the way to number 8. Okay? So we're getting a really intimate knowledge of the Yoga Patanjali Sutra according to the Vedanta. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May all be happy. May all be free from illness. May all behold good things, and may no one suffer.